Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 454, our last one of the week. And before we dive in, a couple of things. If you follow us regularly and you want to catch the Twitch stream on this upcoming Saturday, I'm going to have to start it a little bit early. That would be like the 22nd if you don't watch these daily. But got to start a little bit early, finish a little bit early, have some stuff I have to go do, and so won't be there from 9 to noon. Probably be like 8:30 to 10:30 or so. And so we'll be there if you want to hang out in person, and also into things outside of the YouTube world. Over on Reddit, they have the Esri Awards coming about, which is the kind of content creator award show, if you will, for the Legends of Runeterra, and I'd appreciate it if you can go and drop us a vote if you like what we do. There would be a category for small YouTuber under 2,000 subscribers, something along those lines. Any of the times that our channel pops up on Reddit, it's always a huge boost to the viewership, and that in turn helps generate a little ad revenue to keep the FTPbus.com site together, and to help pay for that pay to win lifestyle that we love and enjoy. And so, if you could take a moment and do that, I'd really appreciate it. It's the Legends of Runeterra subreddit, or it should be also pinned to the LOR competitive subreddit. And I believe you have until sometime on the 22nd of January to get your votes in. But with all that aside, let's go ahead and jump in here, see if we get a sweet collection of champions for our last trial of the week. I'm sure they'll be absolutely fantastic. And so, interesting set. And so, I'm going to go with this Caitlyn. I do really enjoy this archetype, and we can talk about it a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure that it would be the best of these archetypes. It's just I have some problems with what they've done to Twisted Fate. I think they took all of the sea monsters out of Twisted Fate. I might be confusing myself with the Smash and Grab Twisted Fate pairs up with Vi. Also have problems with that one. But for this one in particular, it might have the sea monsters still in it, but it's an extremely bloated card pool if they're there. Not a huge fan of what's happening here. It just doesn't feel like Twisted Fate has a lot of direction these days, other than being a high quality champion. And then down here with Irelia, this is just going to turn into your classic Green Glade Duo deck. I feel like we've touched on elusives quite a bit here recently, and even a little bit in our previous video. And so if you want to find yourselves with some non-Green Glade Duo elusives, you can watch our previous one with Karma Lulu, and this will most certainly devolve into a Green Glade Duo deck if we start to build around Irelia. And so that's going to bring us back here to this Caitlyn and the Snaptrack Snacks. Let's get this pulled up on the site and we'll talk about it just a little bit more. Okay, so if you're not familiar with it, we are just over here at ftpbus.com. We're just going to be on the front page or the little expedition helper button up here in the nav bar. Swing by this Micro Center advertisement. God, I love me a Micro Center. If you work at Micro Center and want to get me a sponsorship there, you can just give me store credit. But let's scroll on down here and go to this little drop down box and find Caitlyn, everyone's favorite champion from the Arcane series, I'm sure. And this is, of course, an archetype built around the flash bombs. And so there's a couple of things I immediately like to call out with this. It does pair into Bandle City, but not with a champion. And so as you go through the archetype here, you will see cards like Puffcap Pup. This is a purely Bandle City type card. And on one degree, I'm curious if we'll see additional traps coming out of Bandle City in the future. I'm curious if Riot meant to put Teemo in this archetype and then just forgot. I'm kind of curious how this played out in terms of why we see the Bandle City cards like this, especially after they just released the Scion archetype, put a bunch of Bandle City cards in it. We said, hey, this is weird. Did y'all mess this up? And they're like, nah, man, this is all good, all in well. And then the next set came out and a Rumble was added to the Scion archetype. And so I'm curious if there will be some Bandle City support for the traps in a future expansion, or if it just kind of is what it is and you have to roll into roll into Bandle City to have these cards show up. And so it's worth noting, if you're not familiar with how the game works, we aren't guaranteed to see a Bandle City champion in the next pack because Caitlyn doesn't have a partner pairing in this archetype. And so it's a pretty low chance that we'll be able to find these Bandle City cards. But as far as Caitlyn is concerned, I feel like there's two archetypes that she really drafts around. Both of them pretty aggressive. Both of them very similar to Teemo in that I really like to keep the mana curve in these decks super low. It tends to be fairly easy to pick up card draw out of these, and you can just spew out your whole hand over and over again. And if you're spewing out all of the cards, then it tends to work quite well with Puffcap Peddlers. And so we kind of have this cycle of, it's like, I don't want to be drawing a bunch of 4 and 5 drops off of Insider Knowledge, and then I don't want to be playing a bunch of 4 and 5 cost spells to kick off the Puffcap Peddlers. And so we try to keep everything super low. And then try to find some card draw if we can. So we'll see things like Insider Knowledge, which isn't that strong, Hextech Foundry, which is strong, and then something like a Veteran Investigator, also quite strong. And so that, regardless of the way the deck kind of branches out, those are the two things we'll be looking for. And then the next thing is to determine whether or not we're going to be chasing after Puffcaps or if we're going to chase after Flashbang Traps. And so it's a little challenging to try to go after both. The card archetypes that show up don't really support chasing after both. It's what I think it kind of comes down to is if you're able to early on start picking up things like Clump of Wumps, you can pick up Chump Wump, then you can chase after the Puffcaps. Ideally, that will get the game to start showing you Total Recall and the other Teemo archetype, Shroom and Boom. But both of those have the high cohesiveness ratings attached to it. And so if you don't start picking up the Puffcaps early, then those archetypes won't show up. And so if we're able to jump into the Puffcaps early, then that's all well and good. I really like the aggressive Puffcap style decks. If not, the big card we'll be chasing after is Sting Officer. I feel like this is the premier trap-based card. Having a curve of any one drop into Sting Officer into Caitlyn is quite strong, and then it really punishes your opponent for playing smaller units. And so the reason I like this archetype to be really cheap and low to the ground is, if your opponent has a 3/3 on the board and you spike a flash bomb trap, it just doesn't do anything. But if we have a bunch of like small units on the ground, our opponent takes some early chip damage, and then their blocks become good, right? We attack with a bunch of 2/1s, they block with some 3/3s, then perhaps we can clear out those 3/3s with the flashbang traps. And so one of those two archetypes I really like to pursue after, but if you come out here early and start drafting like a Sting Officer and you ignore the Puffcaps, then you're not going to see any of the Puffcaps as the draft progresses. And so pretty important to early on chase down the Puffcaps. Not seeing a lot of them here. And then we do have cards like Sump Fumes, right? These need the Puffcap mechanic if we want to activate it for the big one, right? If we say play a Clump of Wumps, we get the Mushroom Cloud in our hand. It's going to activate the Sump Fumes to deal the additional damage. Okay, so how do we proceed with this one? I think we want to jump down here and take this Total Recall Karma. The two things come out of this. This should start bringing up the Teemo archetype, right? Teemo lives in Total Recall, so this should help us find the Puffcaps. And then we can also look to do kind of this elusive style thing, right? We're going to see a Woodland Keeper come in here. We can find things like the Sting Officer, the things like Amateur Aeronaut out of P&Z. We could potentially get some elusives going in those terms. And then I could, if we really want to be a stretch here, we can think of getting Karma Enlightened and then having her pop off with burn spells. And so I don't think the game will ever really come down to that, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind. And Karma certainly plays better in these archetypes than, say, Jarvan or Thresh would. And so out of these, like, I could see an argument for picking up Thresh. It's just these are like very expensive cards. These are very not aggressive cards. We're not going to have any build around things for things like Cursed Keeper and killing off our own units. I just don't think that's going to play well. I think we need to jump down to Total Recall and have those Teemos turn up. So, Karma, again, has this been like 3 Karma videos this week? I can't believe that that's what's happening out here, but it may have been the case. But yeah, with this Total Recall, this pairs up with Teemo. I'm going to bring the Teemo archetype up as well. But this is looking to get some value out of returning your own units to your hand. And so, say you play a clump of lumps, you get the Mushroom Cloud, you play Navori Conspirator, return the clump to your hand, you can replay the clump, get another Mushroom Cloud. I don't think that's very good. It's a strategy, right? Sometimes you just need a strategy. I just don't think it's a very good strategy. And so we don't really look to pursue that. There's not a lot in this archetype otherwise that's going to lean towards what we're trying to do. Things like Concussive Palm can be okay, and these really aggressively centered Puffcap decks, but not a lot going on here unless we switch into drafting elusives, right? There's tons of good elusives here. The queen of the elusives, Green Guide Duo, is here. The Mourned has really grown as being an incredibly powerful one, and then it has the Blade Scout and the Conspirator. And so tons of early game elusives. If we look to switch into that direction, the option is there. But the last thing I wanted to bring up was the Teemo. Where are you at, my friend? Teemo and the Total Recall, right? This is just a Puffcap centric archetype, right? You got the clumps, you got the chump up here. The Veteran Investigator is the premier card drawer, and then the Puffcap Peddler lives here as well. And so we could potentially help us find the Puffcaps and the trap themes that way. Okay, well, interesting. So we have the Sting Officer here, and so as I kind of mentioned, if we're looking to really get the Puffcaps going, we need to be finding the Puffcap cards early, and the Sting Officer just doesn't really play into that. But I think we can make this work. We can potentially look to draft PNZ Ionia elusives, and it's not the end of the world just here at the first pack. We're just, if you want to draft the Puffcaps, you're really looking for a card here in pack 1, and I don't think it's worth taking the Shadow Shift Windsinger to try and force that. These cards, the Windsinger's fine, but these cards are fairly weak overall, and so let's at least go with the Sting Officer. The Ambush can be fine. I've had some success with Ambush, and being a good game closer, giving your Caitlyn elusive or something. But here, definitely don't want to jump into elites. Then to the right, we didn't want shadow shifts before. We certainly don't want them now. So that's going to leave us over here with the Peddler and the Coup de Grace. Just a reasonable removal spell. Forces your opponent to draw a card, deals with anything. Can be quite useful in these times with a bunch of like Pantheons running around. And so not upset to have one copy. Not something I want a bunch of copies of, though. All right, well, quit showing me shadow shifts. I don't want any of this trash. And it's weird. The Total Recalls have been all Ionia up to this point. And so not pulling in the Teemos with it. It's kind of odd. I don't think Teemo counts as a Vandal City. I think he counts as a PNZ, but I've been wrong before. But here, we'll take the Chump Bump. This is one of the greater than 3-cost cards we're happy to have. He did pick up this point of health in a recent patch, and he's extremely strong in Expedition now. Real combat monster coming from him. Okay, pretty weak collection of stuff here. I think we're just stuck going with the removal and the burn spells. Like, I don't want Trail of Evidence. It's trash. These cards down here in Discipline are pretty off theme, and they're very expensive, and so let's add in the removal. Okay, well, Stinky Wump it is. Like, we're kind of like towing the line of just half-assing this, right, to where we don't have enough Puffcap stuff to be a Puffcap deck. We only have the one Flash Bomb trap at this point, and so we're really kind of struggling to find some direction. So, like, we need to just pick up some early game stuff here, and then hopefully we can just kind of convert into being one of the decks as we're able to pick up some trades. But with this, I'm kind of interested in the Gearhead pack, but we don't have the card generation we need, right? We just really have Chump Wump to generate cards into our hand to activate the Augment. So it feels kind of bad. I'm just going to continue on with the Puffcat Peddlers and hope it convinces the game that we're trying to do some of this Puffcap stuff. Here, the Travelers are fine with the Peacemaker. It's at least another removal spell. Our unit collection here is pretty bad, but hopefully we can win a game and and start to get some trades in. Down here, the Mechanist is one of the expensive cards I'm happy to pick up. She can close out games. It's extremely powerful with this card draw ability, so happy enough to add her in. All right, we can continue on with more Stinky Wumps. At least we got some of this early game aggression, but this is really painful. I love me a clump of Wumps, and we just haven't seen any up to this point. All right, here we go. Finally found more of the Puffcaps. Another Stinky along with the Chump. Looking pretty good. and the clump. It's coming together now, right? And here's a clump finally over here in the total recall half. Having the clump turn up here. Not interested in Horns of the Dragon, but I'm very glad that the Clump of Wumps is turning up here now that we've added some more Puffcap cards to our deck. And all right here at the end, not opposed to picking up the Windfare Hatchling and the Homecoming. This is another really strong late game play, just having a elusive bro to come in and try to close it down. The things I really try to avoid would be like a Plaza Guardian, right? It just never comes in and deals damage to where the Hatchling definitely can. Okay, so what are we doing for our last one here? Our spell count is pretty out of whack, and so it does press me a bit to want to trade out either the Insider Knowledge or the Sump Fumes. Don't really want to trade out these Stinky Wumps here, and so I'm leaning more towards the Insider Knowledge, but this would be our third Puffcap Peddler, which is pretty important. I feel like 3 is the magic number. I guess the only like real question that would come down here is if we're willing to stall out on the Puffcap Peddlers to try and just pick one up later. Like, I'm not opposed to just picking up a Teemo in a future pack. I'm pretty sure Teemo will be the champion we see here in pack 3. That could be close. It's going to have to be a Shroom and Boom Teemo for him to turn up. But we are trading out a removal spell to pick up that Peddler, which is kind of bad. And so I'm just going to go with this Insider Knowledge trade to make sure that we get a unit while keeping our removals. And all right, yeah. So, as we were imploring you to go and make a vote for us on the site, we do live the pay-to-win lifestyle. We have to go out here, turn something premium, and I'm looking to just do a champion here at our last video of the week, our big advertisement thing going on. We've mentioned Caitlyn quite a few times, and I think it's probably the time to turn her premium. Man, this is tough. I forget about there just being skins. Maybe we'll just skin up Caitlyn instead of going for the prismatic. This is tough. If you get the skins, does she also turn up shiny that way? God, so many big decisions here. So many choices. What is this? Is this like the arcane skin? I can't tell. It doesn't look like it. Maybe. Let me check out this other one. God, these are the big decisions. All right, I'm going to go with the gilded one. Feeling good about that. And then I think we can turn this prismatic, right? Done. Got something. Click on that button. And prismatic. All right. Shit, yeah. Everything's ready to go. Officially can't lose a game now that we've got both the skin and the prismatic attached to it. Whew. Look out, opponents. Look out. I think that also means we just can't draft Teemo from this point forward, right? If we're going to make the big investment in the skin and the prismatic, it would be irresponsible to add Teemos into our deck at this point. And so we won't be doing that today. We'll completely call it the prismatic Caitlyn build around. All right, feeling good. The opponents are scared. It's loading in slow. They know there's just like no reason to bother, right? The quality of the deck doesn't really matter at this point. It's why is this? No, that's the old Caitlyn picture. What the fuck's happening here? Did we mess it up? Am I gonna have to go and change my loadout? All right. Well, I hope we can survive this when we at least got a full premium hand here. I make a mistake every once in a while. It does happen on occasion. Maybe that purchase just still didn't go through. I saw, well, it looked like the art changed. I don't know. There's too much in the world to know it all, and so I'm okay with that. All right. Not a choice trade, but I don't want to leave that dude on the board. I like, whenever we're up against these Retribution-style decks, I like to keep their units off of the board. So when it comes time to, say, drop a Blighted Caretaker, he's going to have to, say, play a unit and a Blighted Caretaker to try and pull it off. Okay. Let in the Officer. Not really worried about the point of damage from the Pesky Spectre. We could have put down the Clump to try and block, but it was a pretty good turn for us. All right, let's see what kind of combats we can get ourselves here. They're not going to have elusives coming out of our opponent's deck, and so I don't think there's any reason to open. And if his play this turn is Lucian, then we're looking pretty good with our Clump and our Stinky. Yeah, and then if, his plays something like Callista or random 3/3, then we're not in any kind of different space. Possession. Alright. We're getting like sort of card advantage, right? We aren't getting in the chunk damage I usually like to do with the Puffcaps, but so far we've got a pesky Spectre for no effort, and then we also picked up a possession. So a big 5-mana do nothing. Worked for me. Sure. And these are the spaces where I start to talk about the just like being really aggressive and getting the chunk damage with the sting officers, right? We're going to attack here. He's going to block a 2/1 with the scribe. This is still sitting around with 1 health, and so we can potentially clean that unit up with a flashbang trap. But now here, it's like we've drawn Puffcap Peddler. I'm just going to start kicking up the aggression on the Puffcaps. I don't think he'll be able to kill the Peddler here. Yeah, so we should be able to say, drop the Stinky, drop the Peddler, drop a flashbang trap, and then start spewing off the mushroom clouds. This is the space you typically run into with the Teemo deck, as to where you get in a bunch of aggression, you get your opponent down to about 10 or 12, and then they start playing better units than you. So you have to start making the decision as, let's see, boomed it, just as I suspected. But you find yourself getting in these positions to where you have to just give up on combat and be on the Puffcap plan, and so you'll find like a critical turn to where you have to just stop attacking and then hope that your peddlers can carry you. Okay, don't feel too bad about this Callista. He's not going to have a good attack with it. I mean, it would have been nice to kill her with the gotcha as opposed to the other unit, but this is still completely fine. He's probably never attacking with her. Sure. We'll be opening next turn, so this isn't a big deal. I get that you're about to flip your Callista, but I don't think that's something we're particularly worried about. Alright, now the Peddler is a fine trade with Callista here. I'm definitely going to attack with it. So he could, like, combat trick out of it and make it kind of awkward, but... Oh, just gave up on it, huh? Right, alright. Looking good. So, we've already said we'll have to go and take the Caitlyn pack. I am curious as to whether or not Teemo will actually show up here. He probably should, given the amount of Puffcap stuff that we've stacked in. But yeah, I knew, like, this is where it was going to be a problem, right? We knew that we were on total recall out of Karma. And so we shouldn't be able to pick up Teemo here because Karma's going to turn up every time. It's his last pick down here at the right as to where we could potentially see Shroom and Boom turn up. Maybe at like champion pick 4, Teemo will show up now that we're adding in like more chump bumps and stuff, but I'm not really convinced that that's going to be the case. All right, did I mess this up? Here's what we needed to do. We got to switch to Caitlyn this way. Got it. Had to check the old loadout. Now we have the fancy hack Caitlyn, and we are ready for battle. So that was pretty lucky. Pretty lucky that we were able to take down that first game, even though we were using the wrong skin. Better lucky than good. You know how they say it on occasion. Hey, yeah, not bad. Exciting times in this upcoming weekend. I hope everyone's football team of choice made it to the playoffs. If you're coming out to Kansas City to watch the game, bundle up. It's gonna be colder and shit out there. It's not it's not like ridiculous by like Midwestern terms. Like I think it's supposed to be like 8 or 7 or something. But if you aren't used to it, it feels kind of terrible. And like from growing up in West Virginia, it's so weird. Like the temperatures are like pretty similar between like West Virginia and Kansas City. It gets to winter, it sits between like 15 and 35 most of the time. And like in West Virginia, it was just like fun. You go outside and you put on your coat, and it would be kind of chilly, but not not horrible. Out here, from where they just don't have like mountains and trees and stuff, like the wind just blows and it gets just super cold with the wind chill. So when the 7 out here is definitely different than a 7 in West Virginia. Take a second. Lonely. We'll stop talking about the weather. It's not our first date or anything, and so try and take down these Poros and move on. I'm happy enough to get this trade, right? As they're, I assume, playing a Poros deck. They've played 2 Lonelies. I mean, maybe they aren't just building around them, but I'm happy enough to take them down before they can start dropping Poro snacks. Hey, check this Caitlyn. Such premium. Got the skins and the prismatic borders and everything. Whew. Good stuff. Good stuff. So how do we feel about this? I think I just want to add in the big unit and see how our opponent spends their mana. Like if they tap out for a, I don't know, Elnick, then fine, you got us. But if we're able to see how much mana they spend here, it may not be as scary. Yeah, I don't think I'm quite willing to send Caitlyn into a flash freeze. So we'll just hold back on her for a little bit. If he takes the value block onto the clump, it's kind of okay. We have this mountain of removal in our hand. And so I feel like we can tilt over Peacemaker this guy or something if we need to. Okay. Might have missed out on some damage, but I think this is still a little. It feels good being a little bit safer here. I think we can take down the big boy here. This kind of like reeks of a combat trick, and I feel like if we're gonna, be getting combat tricks, he's gonna want to take down this Caitlyn. And so I'm gonna play the Piltover Peacemaker that isn't the Caitlyn, right? She flips into the same thing. See if we can't kill off this Stalking Wolf before the combat happens. And then I suspect it's gonna be like a Fury of the North onto the Stalking Wolf. So we still at least win the big combat down here to the right. Okay, can't play anything here. Gotta move it on. It's a little unfortunate this turn. It's like if we want to... I would like to get the traps going in our opponent's deck, but we can't quite do it without, adding the cards to our hand. And so let's add these bros. We're just gonna have to stall this board down now. A little unfortunate. I guess it was we were about due for the Yeti to be making an appearance. Do we just go ahead and ambush? I could get behind it. We got the 4 traps in their deck. It's like I'm curious how hard we could push it if when he has the 3 1-health units on the board. Alright, let's just pass. We'll see if they spend some mana here or anything. Okay, that was a big bank, 7 bank coming from them. We missed on the traps. Alright, so let's go ahead and get a Nivea out of here. Can't replay her, so that's good. He still has a decent hook over here with the Stalking Wolf onto Chumpwump. We're going to have to look to Sump Fumes it down, but then we can still follow up with Caitlyn. Maybe make some... Sure, you can get me. Maybe get some good usage out of this. Ambush next turn. This is going to give him the juicy hook onto Caitlyn. We should be able to Sump Fumes through it. If we can't, it's still fine. He's not doing tons here. What do we actually think about just letting it happen? I don't think I like that. Hi, Caitlyn. Counting on you. Gotcha. Interesting. So we can spew it all off here. Curious like how much mana they spend in terms of being able to now gotcha with this Caitlyn on board. Like if we just try to quick attack down the unit. I think that could be good. Then we are kind of in this space as well. Like as long as we just don't die, we've got a ton of Puffcaps in hand. Well, it's a little different now that he's dropping down to not dropping down to 7 directly from this chump wump hit, but this is okay. Still want to take down the Yeti. We could look to take down Anivia, but maybe we'll high roll here, right? These traps have been sitting around forever. It would be pretty cool if we could spike a trap this turn. Yeah. Learn from the pros. Oh my gosh, what if we spike the egg next turn? How sick would that be? Oh, that would be sick. I'm gonna spew off all of our traps. Like, we only have the 2... what do you call the 2 Puffcat Peddlers left, and I think, you know, if we can hit with this Caitlyn next turn, that could be a big game winner. Like, you can find yourself in these spaces as to where if we're not going to hit for four traps, that's, you know, a big ask, but if we did hit for 4, Caitlyn would get the flip, then in combat she would hit for 4, then when an opponent attacks she would have the potential to hit for more the next turn. This kind of gives us an out to win here. Weirding stones. Okay. Oh, the flip happens before the card draw? That's stupid. 2 and 2. Give us that flipped Caitlyn, though. Isn't that the same animation from the other version? The original version? Caitlyn 1.0? Got any good spells in here? Oh, Built Over Peacemaker is not bad.
The pieces all look here. Their identity is right in front of me.
You'll figure it out. You always do.
So Caitlyn will be hitting for 4 damage. All these trades look pretty good to me as well. Wild Claw kind of sucks. Alright. Let's investigate. See if he's got a flash freeze here. Oh, this has so much potential to be so good. Fucking harsh winds. What a lame-o. Everything was going so nicely. And he has to come in with the harsh winds. Come on, dude. Alright, what is our Puffcap count at? 35? We need to hit some card draw here. We should be able to get him into like 3 draws or so. That was the first one. I don't think he can kill us this turn. And then it's going to be a bit of a stretch to get a kill from this point forward, though. So let's see. You're going to die. You're definitely blocking. The 2 Overwhelms aren't particularly good blocks, so let's just throw something in front of Anivia. Still says we're dead. Oh, man. We just completely dead? Looks like we're dead. Man. Right about 1. I think we still had to go in there, though. Like, that's how we realistically win the game, right? As Caitlyn gets her strike in, she does the 4 damage from the traps. We hit a few traps the next turn, and she can, like, just block and still hit our opponent. This didn't quite come together. Alright, well, let's pick up another clump of wumps here. The early piece of our curve is kind of meh, and it's definitely a good add. I would like to have some of the card draw, right? We were running into a good space there at the end of the game where the card draw was going to be good, but we would definitely prefer to have veteran investigators and Hextech foundries and the like. Alright. And I thought that was going to be the highest of rolls. The premium Caitlyn's coming through, saving the day. Dang. And speaking of the old West Virginia, watched a less than fantastic movie last night. Hurts to say. It stars the finest actress from West Virginia, Jennifer Garner. It's called 13 Going on 30. Fucking creepy. if you're not familiar with the movie Big, stars Tom Hanks, classic movie. He's a kid who wants to be old because being a kid sucks, and so he goes and wishes on the machine at the carnival or whatever, and then he wakes up the next day. He's old as fuck. And then so I guess someone in the early 2000s was like, man, what if we made this movie with a girl? And they did, and it was creepy. That was, it was very cringeworthy all throughout. You have essentially a teenage girl in an adult's body out there doing a bunch of sexual stuff with grown-ass men. Now, granted, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about the concept of them not knowing, but I feel like, oh, that movie is strange. I don't know if they would still make that movie these days. At least they would, pause. Maybe feel like, I don't know, guys, this one doesn't feel right. Just teenage girls out here being adults. Ugh. But there you have it. There's our hard-hitting analysis on the day. 13 going on 30. It's a little creepy. All right, but here, let's get in here for these combats. The trade for the Otterpuss not that great. Ooh, what's his angle here? Is he just gonna have a conspirator or a recall or something? Fizkin and Yasuo, wouldn't be surprised to see the Navori conspirator come down on the Otterpuss, but why is he dropping Fizz? Okay, I feel pretty safe blocking any of this stuff if we can. And then we should have a decent turn next turn. We can add the clump, get the bonus card into our hand, and then like some fumes down the Thunder Fist if we need to. Okay. Not sure what the angle there was. I mean, you can like conchologist into group shot or something, but I don't think that's something I'm particularly worried about. Let's do this, Caitlyn. Let's get out here and investigate. It's a concussive palm. Okay. Why is he blocking our clump? Really just trying this hard to keep the Puffcaps out of our deck? I'm fine with it. Let's go ahead and try to take down the tail. The only card that punishes for doing this would be like the physical card recall, and that's completely fine. All right, not a bad looking board. Don't like that we have these 3 advanced intels in our deck, but hopefully we can deal with this. I mean, we're still to the point to where we've spent all of our mana every turn, right? We haven't had to overbank any mana at any point. We haven't run out of cards to play, so it's been fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't a good card to be drawing, but we haven't ran into any big problems. Why would he just attack with Fizz? Like, I'll trade one of these Wumps for literally anything. So let's see what happens. We might get punished here. I'd like to drop the Karma so we can generate the spell, but it seems like he's got to be doing something. Okay, we don't have to worry about any challenges at this point. I'm gonna say he's never attacking with the scales. Sure. Ooh, not a bad generate from Karma. It's about time to pop off with these. Another concussive Palmerino. It's not that bad if that's what's happening. Feel pretty good about dropping the Peacemaker onto the scales and then dropping the Puffcap Peddler. We're ready to get these spells going. Nice. Hit for 6. Got the burn spell and aftershock as well. It's like a pretty good spot to be in, man. As a person that loves playing the aggro decks, knowing that we've gotten Stinky Wump down on turn 1, attacked with it every turn of the game, and had it not die. That's pretty impressive. That's quite a amount of value getting out of this thing. It should be 6 damage for 1 mana and then 4 damage for 1 mana, just from the 2 Stinky Wumps. That's a pretty good deal. Take note, Lightning Bolt. All right, so what are we going to do here, though? I mean, we don't have too much going on. Let's just play a Mushroom Cloud and pass. The old burst pass, if you will. Feels like he's going to do some stuff and not just send it right back to us, but let's give it a shot. Probably should have played like advanced intel. All right, here comes the squad. I am ready to block. Just take 2 from Fizz. That looks pretty delightful. But yeah, it's like if we're going to play the calculated creations and generate augment unit, we should have played the advanced intel for our burst pass play, just so we could get the +1 attack on it. We'll see if it's relevant or not, but should have done it. What you got for us? Thinking about it. It's gonna be like a homecoming. Homecoming is not good here. Super slow. Okay. Return the Fizz. Sure. So he's not gonna have any units on the board. He will have a concussive palm in hand, but our open attack is going to be really good.
Zon taught me to never let my guard down.
Yeah, missing out on a point of damage with the gearhead, but I don't think it's going to matter.
Oh, thank me later.
Only 21 traps at this point. Feels small. Feels small. Oh, Shadow Flare. Ugh. No, thank you. No desire to turn all of our units ephemeral.
Give it chase.
Try to keep up. Look out! One step ahead.
Alright, enjoy. Alright, game says -5. GG.
I must say, a satisfactory outcome.
Alright, let's see what turns up here. So, nothing that I'm like amped to trade away. Like it's not offering us up these advanced intels to be getting rid of. This is tough. Like Thermogenic Beam is extremely good, but it's like I'm really happy to have this one copy of Ambush. This should be able to like chunk in for 6 damage so frequently, and then just win us a bunch of these games we don't deserve. Like I don't really want to be trading this singular copy away, but this is on the flip side one of these cards we may be able to find in the future. This is tough. I never thought that this was going to actually be a tough decision to pick up a Thermogenic Beam, but on. Ugh. All right. Speaking of movies, man, I did. I don't know. Maybe someone out there at this point has decided to go and watch Over the Top. It's. I feel like I used a lot of over the top based material in the past week or so. Fantastic movie. I just want to go out and join the arm wrestling club or something now. I don't know why I thought about it. It was like I was at the gym this morning and I saw like some dude just like turn his hat backwards before he started up a set, and that is the thing, right? Whenever Lincoln Hawk is getting ready to get into a big arm wrestling match, and he needs to get super amped up for everything that's going on, he takes the hat, turns it around backwards. And that's when you know shit's about to get real. He gets in the zone and in the mindset. It was like, man, if I ever wanted to talk to strangers, I'd be up for asking this guy if he's familiar with Over the Top. But alrighty, back to the game. I'm happy enough to make trades with this hapless aristocrat. We kind of made mention of this style of play in our previous game against the. These cards are bad. Take the Peacemaker. Oh, this is fleeting though, right? It just goes away. In that, if they want to play a card like Blighted Caretaker, they need stuff to sacrifice away, and it's nice to be able to take these units down. So it seems like he has some kind of sacrifice card in his hand that he's looking to take advantage of, and I'd be happy to kill these units before he's able to do that. Okay. It's real close to getting these Callista values. We're going to have to just like switch into defense mode here real quick. I want to get the Peddler down. We're not going to be able to use it till next turn, but we've got him to 12. This is why I was talking about wanting ambushes, right? We're probably not going to deal any ground-based damage for the rest of the game. And so it was quite nice to have that ambush to just chunk through in these situations. Damn, I was hoping he was going to play like a Crumble, right? If he plays Crumble to flip the Callista, we can still come in and coup de grace. I think we need... Oh, it has to target followers. Okay, I'm glad that wasn't the plan. So how do we go about this? I think we just need chump wumps at this point. I mean, we could say like homecoming the clump of wumps to bounce back the Callista. It buys some time. Caitlyn's not very strong on this board. Chump wump kind of is. Like, what's the Callista bringing back? It's bringing back a 1/1 at this point. I think we need the homecoming. We just need time. We're going to be the control deck at this point. Fleet Feather Tracker. Okay.
I'm a peddler, not a meddler.
All right, so these are some of the easier style blocks. How much? Well, let's try to leave him with some 1 health units, I guess, if we're going to start dropping these flashbangs. I guess you can make some plays into Callista if we were to say like bounce away the ephemeral unit. We're not going to have the time for that kind of nonsense, but kind of interesting that you could pull those things off. Let's pass. If he sends it back to us, that's actually pretty good, I think. Alright, probably, no. That was a mistake. Well, the idea with this play was we need to return a unit that he can't replay, right? If we return Callista, he just replays Callista and opens on us. I guess we can get out of this for this turn. If we coup de grace the first blade, I don't remember what his next biggest unit would be, but we might be able to peacemaker it. Alright, not dead. Get them dice out, squeeze them butt cheeks, and see what we can do with these 20 puff caps, am I right? Let's see. Let's see. It's what it's all about. You're not familiar with the strategies. As the game progresses and gets into RNG mode, you gotta clench them butt cheeks a little bit. Makes it a little more smooth. Sure. Double sure. Oh, wah, I missed. It's okay. So what are we doing here? We've got to just get as much damage out as we can. We're not going to be surviving his next attack, but if he starts doing weird shit, then who knows, you know? It's something you can beat. So if they're going to start doing weird shit, we at least have, like, if he's bringing back escaped abominations, we can get the block onto Callista to prevent some there. Right, if we block with the chump and kill the unit, draw a removal spell here, that could be nice. Take him up to 36 puff caps. We're only really looking at realistically a damage and a half, but oh, how sick is it going to be if we hit him for 11 here? It's going to be so sick. Get the memes ready. Okay, I feel you. But yeah, see, this is like talking about wanting ambushes. Like this specifically, if we could chunk in for 6, chance we could pull something off. Not so much there, but that's the way the boards tend to play out, right? We get in really early, we get a lot of aggression going. Opponent plays bigger units than ours, and at that point we're trying to just win with puff caps. And so it's nice to be able to put the ambush onto a 4/4 and chunk in for the 6 damage when you typically can't get anything in. But here we have the option to trade out this advanced intel. Happy enough to do so. It is not a card we want any copies of in our deck. Right, all right. See if we can't get to having 3 Caitlyns in our deck. We made the big investment in the premiums, and so we should at least get a 5% bonus to our win rate. Maybe even 10. All right, the darkness. Maybe not too much darkness. I'm sure there's going to be some, but this is unfortunate. I really don't like mulliganing away all of our 3s, but the Puffcap Peddler's not very good at combat, so alright, we at least didn't get hard punished here. Get the Sting Officer doing his thing.
Zahn taught me to never let my guard down.
Okay. Just gonna drop the darkness on us. It wouldn't be that bad. Wouldn't be ideal, but it's like I'm just not quite ready to continue on the aggression here. But I mean, we can add the Stinky and then pop this thing with the Piltover Peacemaker. I think that's probably about as good as this is gonna get. Oh, he just attacks. Wow. Okay. Did not see that one coming. I'm surprised you wouldn't just keep that back on defense. He knew the trap was on top. I see what you're doing there. What a bummer. Okay, but it should be pretty tough to battle with the chump bump from now, right? You know, when he had 3 health, it's very easy. Just like every card in the game trades with the 3 health unit, but picking up that 4th point, he's much better at combat now. And hopefully he just doesn't have any more cards here, right? We're able to Peacemaker the Conchologist and chunk in for 4. We've got double Puffcat Peddler in hand. I'd like for him to be, you know, a little bit lower in health, but against Darkness and being able to buy a bunch of time would be good. I guess the downside, the card to watch out for that would be problematic is that 4/5 lifesteal for 6. We have a lot of trouble trying to outrace those things. Okay. So we lose a bit on the card advantage front, but that's a very expensive play. He's going to lose a lot of board for doing that. The traps are just whiffing.
Astounding curiosities lie ahead.
Okay, we'll see. He didn't really have anything in the previous turn. Guy, he's got stuff.
In the dark,
Must be nice.
I move forward.
Okay. Wasn't exactly how I expected that turn to go.
Have a mushroom. Have
Alright, let's see if we can't get our spell plan rolling here. Maybe, you know, if he taps out for an Ixtali Sentinel, this is pretty decent. Get to bounce it. He doesn't get to play the Darkness this turn, and we actually have an attack. Cursed Keeper. Can't play any of these. Might have been a little greedy to play this here, but I wanted to come in and attack with it.
Let me get you that file.
Okay. Getting that card draw in before we drop all the Puffcaps. Maybe we should have dropped 2. Just to kind of force him into the card draw, but let's give it a turn. I kind of do like having some of this mana banked up. So we have this hand just full of removal spells. Vagar. It's only a 2 damage at this point, but gotta start doing some stuff. $14. Really wish that was just a touch lower.
there they go.
Accept your fate.
All right. So yeah, we'll start just dropping all of the mushroom clouds and stuff now.
Come, the journey ahead is long.
And we got 8. Ah, that's such a small number. Feels like that should be much higher.
To the world below.
All right, this is where we really need the card draw aspect of this deck. We don't have too much of it. We just have the aloof travelers, really. But this is where I feel like our deck is lacking. Is, you know, the opponent has a million cards in hand. It's very good to be able to just chunk in a bunch of damage, and we can't do that. How do we feel about attacking now? I'm not a huge fan of it. See what he does. I would imagine his turn is going to look like Darkness, Vagar, Darkness. But I'd like to see where we get to drop our spells. Yeah, Aloof Travelers would have been good. Coup de draw could be okay. Oh, he misses out on getting a Darkness, though. That's kind of nice. So we'll get to play 1, but it's still stuck at the 2 damage. We're not attacking this turn. Okay. So yeah, the things I'm not super happy about, I feel like we probably wasted that station Archivist. Maybe we should have spewed off some Puffcaps before we played that Glimpse Beyond. We haven't played this game perfectly, and I think it's going to burn us as we like lose this game with our opponent at 3. But we got some outs here. A lot of our draws are very good as well. Like everything that costs like what's even a bad draw that we have left? Like the Stinky Wumps, Advanced Intel are bad. Clump of Wumps isn't ideal, but it's okay. Like Time Trick's a great draw. Caitlyn's fine. Archivists are fine. Like the Elusives are good. Some Fumes is kind of mad at this point. Chump Wumps are good, just pushing the damage into the deck. Like our draws don't look that bad. It's just we don't have the capability of having those turns to where, you know, like look how fantastic a Hextech Foundry would be here, right? There's no way the card draw would be relevant for our opponent, but we're at this point now to where we can't spend all of our mana. So we didn't see any Foundry, so I think we saw the 1/3/2 that draws a card, but we traded it away or something. The opponent disconnect? What are you doing? Got him for that 5-piece nugget, huh? Then we picked up a card draw in the coup de grace. We might have done it. Might have done it. I think he disconnected on us, but man, that was a huge hit. He's at about a damage a turn. And this would even, like, you know, the worst card for us would be like that Ixtali Sentinel, and we'd still be able to return it to hand and prevent the lifesteal. So I think we might be been okay. So what's the play when this happens? Do you do you just push the skip button? Hopefully time them out quicker, or do you play as though they may return? You know, sometimes people drop their phone in the toilet and then they run to their computer and jump back on. I've certainly had that happen before. So I think we have to play as though he's getting ready to come back. Got him. We probably would have won that. And we deserved it, so. Looking good, looking good. Let's pick up this third Caitlyn. Alright, so this is at least a card draw card, right? In the Officer Squad, forcing our opponent to draw 3. And interestingly, Heimer again. No Teemo shows up. So, not a bad collection of cards here. Alright, the battles continue. Pantheon Poppy. Okay. What can we do here? Probably get rid of the Intel and the Peddler. Peddler is an expensive bro, right? We're never going to play him early unless we just absolutely have to. Gotta quit messing up these Archivists, though. you gotta do it. Okay. Wonder if he's like 2 Pantheon, 2 Poppy, or 3 Pantheon, 1 Poppy. I mean, this is certainly a Poppy-centric start, but... and I don't think... Weird, he's like added into Macia and such. But here, we can't play Chump Wump. It's too bad for us if he adds Pantheon to this board. So we have to just go ahead and attack while we can. Get this in. And then this might be a world that's safe enough to go ahead and drop the Puffcap Peddler. Not going to have an answer to Poppy, but this board isn't scary. Let's just at least put the stats down. Make it tough for this Poppy to survive combat next turn. No open. As we learned in the previous game, you can't coup de grace away a Poppy, but we can go ahead and try and kill the Bandle Commando. Just weaken her abilities if we're not going to be able to kill her, right? Poppy, she's about to have a ton of stats, but those stats aren't as important when they don't have any dudes on the board.
Oh, if mushrooms could talk.
So the only way I see this being particularly bad is if Swiftling Lancer's fine, is if he like comes in and just drops like 5 mana worth of 1-drops or something. But this is reasonable. Okay, so we lost our Peddler. A little unfortunate. Let's drop the Archivist. I'd really rather have 4 mana if we're going to drop this. There's not a lot of cheap dudes that we can make use of with this. I think we might need to just like stall for a turn and see if we can't get a good Windfarer Hatchling 2 turns from now. Really, it's really unfortunate. It's like I was expecting him to just come in and hook the Caitlyn. And that's certainly not the unit that we actually want here. So that's well done by opponent. But definitely need a Peddler. Alright, so how much do we care about this Poppy, right? If our plan is to just add the Windfarer Hatchling next turn, we're going to have a 6/6 chump and a 6/7 officer squad. I think that's fine. Take some of them damages, but Defiant Dance is kind of interesting. I think I would rather just put the Aloof Traveler on the board, though.
Nothing's more exciting than an unsolved mystery.
More than one way to pick a pine cone. I'll show you.
More than one way to pick a pine cone? Are you serious? Thanks for the tips, Yordle. Opponent loses many more if interesting. Alright, so I'm not, like, amped about this Windfarer Hatchling play. I think it could be okay, though. It's just like he's got 2 good blocks, but it's like, what else are we gonna do this turn? Even if we stop at like playing the Hatchling and then just attacking with the Hatchling itself, I think that's okay. Okay. I think these are still good. It's a little unfortunate against a Pantheon deck because they play so many combat tricks, but I think we have to have something go right. So this is fine. Something has to go right in terms of if he blocks with the 5/6 and then has a combat trick to save. But I think this is okay now, especially if he doesn't open with Poppy. We might just die if he opens with Poppy, though. Right, she does have Overwhelm. This guy's still manageable because we have the coup de grace, but we do need to send Poppy back to hand. Which I don't think we're going to be able to do. Oh gosh, they're already dropping emotes.
No hero, huh? Guess I'll finish this one.
She gives everything impact. Yeah, we'd still be okay if we had another a fast speed bounce spell, but a little bit too slow. We could have played that one a little differently. I mean, maybe we should have played more aggressively into Poppy, but it's just so tough with the amount of combat tricks that they have. Righty. Well, this is another interesting one. I think we want to get rid of the advanced intel again. I would like to pick up Justice Rider, And I don't like how we're picking up a bunch of expensive shit here, but these advanced intels are just so bad. Just get it out of here. Onward we go. So yeah, I mean, we did have like random ways to deal with Poppy. Maybe I think that was probably our downside that turn. We shouldn't have gone for the Windfarer Hatchling play. I just kind of had in my head that we were able to just block stuff and not take damage. I let it slip that those things had Overwhelm. So we probably should have just Defiant Danced Poppy so we could take that Overwhelm off of her and then tried to buy more time. But it's definitely not looking good there. I think we would have definitely been in it if we had the Puffcat Peddler, but without the Peddler, that was a pretty tough board to overcome.
I live for those who do not.
Yes, Woolulu, here come the elusives. All right. Don't have tons of answers to the likes of a Green Glade duo, but see what turns up. It's a deck where the the traps seem pretty good. The Caitlyn traps, right? They have tons of 1 health units in this deck.
The forest strikes.
Okay, we'll give up on the elusive here. I just want to be the aggressor. He's not doing a good job of being aggressive with just the Mourned. Now it's like, what are you going to play, a Lulu or something? That doesn't seem ideal.
Nature does not mourn. I will.
Okay.
Endless struggle.
All right, we've got them to 12. I taste purple. I don't think this is ever going to work. I think this is probably going to get a Twin Disciplines quite frequently, but man, this is so fantastic if it does. And then next turn we can look to just pop this thing back with the Homecoming. So not too bad here. But we definitely can't let him be gaining health a bunch of times with this Fey Folk. That's going to be a disaster. Not a very good hand here. These officer squads they play extremely expensively. See what he does. We'll block with this so we can replay. Oh fuck! I was just like so certain that a trick was going to come out there. I didn't think that. I didn't think he was actually just going to do it. Uh-oh. There's nothing a good giggle can't fix. We know that. This might work out okay. I mean, we have enough mana this turn to where we can play Caitlyn and Homecoming, but it's not ideal, right? If we attack with Caitlyn, he blocks with Lulu and plays Twin Disciplines, and we don't get the strike off of Caitlyn to get the traps going. So it makes me a little sad. Well, his blocks here not particularly good. Gonna be a Will of Ionia, Concussive Palm. Sure. Alright, now we need something to do. I don't think a coup de grace is worth it. We don't want him to have like multiple opportunities to get Caitlyn into a bad combat. So we'll skip over this one. Bank up a bit of mana. Maybe play a Homecoming or something. Gotcha. Perfect draw. We'd rather just coup de grace this thing away, but let's see. say Lulu survives this combat, quite frequently, but I think this is still okay. Sure. And we got to keep replay our Caitlyn. Have a decent open here. What's he going to do? Like add Lulu? She still doesn't want to block any of our dudes. Looks good. Ooh, we got one trap in deck as well. That's insane. Insane how bad that is. Okay. Well, we can play the Archivist here. We have tons of good draws though, like a Piltover Peacemaker or something. Then she's right on board with doing stuff. Let's just take the cheaper one here.
Tea and cookies to go with your dossier, Sheriff?
Blackleaf Brew, Inspector, and their biscuits.
Right, what you got for us, opponent? Lulu. Removal spell, bringing it. He really wants to spend 4 mana this turn on Concussive Palm, and so we'll see how this plays out. Cool. Another Lulu.
Let's investigate.
Okay. And if we lose Caitlyn, whatever. I'm surprised we haven't seen the Twin Disciplines up to this point, but feels like he just doesn't have it.
Spark and I will keep you safe. Fix this job, Samo.
The pieces are all here. Their identity is right in front of me.
You'll figure it out. You always do.
All right, lots of options for this turn. We'll start with the Aftershock, and then just kind of see what happens. I'm not super worried about getting killed this turn, but we do have like the Homecoming if we need to. We have the Sump Cubes if we need to. This is all fine. Taking 4.
Knows the way.
Okay. We're loading them up with the traps now, right? There's up to 3 flash bombs, 2 puff caps. Look out, dude. shit's coming through.
Stop eating or no more walkies. Where did you get that?
But I mean, if we're just gonna be out here playing a value game, we're pretty good at that now, right? We can discard Mushroom Cloud to Most Wanted and draw 3. Like we don't have to spend these things on our opponent. So the longer this drags out, the better we should be. But we do still have to, worry about them coming at us with a bunch of elusives.
Do I have to?
It's gonna be a Concussive Palm onto Caitlyn, and then there's no real good blocks anywhere else.
I'm not afraid. Leave us alone. Oh, he likes you.
Alright. Take him to 5. you would think that would be a pretty scary place for an opponent to be against a Puffcap deck, but these 2 Puffcaps aren't going to cut it. Just not going to do it. We hit it. Oh, sick. Get him.
Just kill me.
All right. I'm feeling pretty good about this one now. This is a very odd attack. Sure. Boomed us real good.
You never.
Discard their cheapest card to draw 3. Okay. This is a pretty choice collection of units to pick up. And so I'm looking, I want to play the Wump, I want to play the Aftershock, and then next turn we'll just play Windfarer Hatchling. And I think that should probably be enough to do it. I guess there is argument to just... We should probably do this. This is just so much safer to play Sting Officer. Yeah, and say we'll open and send the Aftershock to face. It is, don't get me wrong, it's much cooler to play the Windfarer Hatchling and, and chunk in for 1,000,000 damage, but I don't think that's going to be a necessity here. All right, beautiful. Finally get rid of our last advanced intel, pick up a clump of wumps, and that's good. So like from this point forward, the things I would like to do with this deck, we need to pick up a third Puffcat Peddler, and then ideally we can trade out expensive stuff for cheap stuff. And so, you know, the coup de grace at 2 are fine. Officer Squad, I don't really want a bunch of. Mechanist Zevi, don't really want. The Windfarer Hatchling is fine, but I would like to turn those down to, you know, we need to pick up 1s and 2s. We're picking up a 2 here at the clump, but these games haven't been able to kind of play out where we chunk in enough damage. It feels much better if we can get our opponent to like 8 and then be on the Puffcap plan, or just like the things I'm wanting to pull off with the Puffcaps and the traps we aren't able to do without a real early curve. And so this helps, you know, picking up that 2-drop. All right, next battle. Clump of Wumps is all we needed. We're ready for it. Okay, more Pantheon. Man, I thought these coup de grace were going to be good. I thought we were going to be ready to send some Pantheons right back to the deck, but apparently the rules got in the way. not the way that shit works. Send a follower back. Meh. Okay. Not a very good start, because we're droning on about wanting the 1s and the 2s in the early plays. Not really looking there. And hopefully this isn't that bad. Like, I don't really want to trade our Clump of Wumps for like a Pale Cascade, but I think it's okay. We've got to do something to wear these units down. Oh boy. Gotta be in for one of these games, huh? Dudes out here playing constructed decks. We're just trying to survive. Alright, so I mean, this Caitlyn attack next turn is not good. You just gotta see what they do. It's like, we're in such a bad space now, we can't even kill this Saga Seeker with any of our removal spells. Let's see. It's just like, so, I can't imagine where this goes right. It's just gonna add Pantheon, yeah. Like, none of our tricks would have ever been any good. Can't just play like Thermogenic Beam onto Saga Seeker, he's just gonna kill it. Or he's just gonna play a trick and save it. Okay, good job.
We've gathered what we need to know.
Okay, fun and interactive game. So let's see, though, what we can do here. I'm happy to get rid of the Defiant Dance. It's just a little bit too expensive. Time Tricks aren't, like, super impressive in a deck like this, but it does give us a way, kind of a good, decent late-game card to search for our Puffcat Peddlers. Alright, so I feel like the way that these games have gone are that we've played against a person that has a real deck, and we just get stomped. And then we play against an opponent, and they get fairly far ahead, and then they just disconnect. And then we get the win, and then we get against another opponent that has a real deck and get annihilated. It's like there's a theme that's happening here. But all right, I'll hang on to the Piltover Peacemaker. It should maybe go, but it doesn't feel like we have enough of these early plays for us to just like risk it. And so I still like that we have the curve of the Stinky Wump into Caitlyn. We can probably have decent combats against Bandle City here. And then the Peacemaker hopefully protect our Caitlyn as time goes on. Just unfortunate it's not like a 3 damage removal against a Poppy deck. Okay. Let's go ahead and trade this for the Yordle Squire. Sparring student. But this is like similarly to those Lucian Callista decks. where we're cool to just kill off their units early. I'm pretty happy with that against Poppy as well, right? The opponent wants to just get under, premier circumstances, a board full of 5 units plus Poppy, and then attack and give them all the bonus. If we're able to kill off the units, he can't do his deck's general game plan. And so I'd be happy enough to make trades onto these sparring students or whatever they have to keep the Poppy value down. Be fairly certain that this would be a 2 Poppy or a 3 Poppy 1 Yasuo deck. Interesting. Surprised to see that attack. Like it wouldn't. It just seems like he's throwing his units away.
Me, miss? Not by a long shot.
All right. And like we mentioned, Caitlyn could be pretty decent to get these style of decks if we can get the traps going. Potential to take down sparring students and a lot of 1 health bros coming out of Bandle City. Nothing to worry about here. The only trick out of Bandle City's Purple Berry Shake. The only trick for 1 mana out of Piltover is Rush. They could have a recall or something, but I feel like that would be a win. All right. Chump Wump right on time. This is what happens when you make your cards premium. You start with a bad hand, but then you just draw all of the exact cards you need right when you need them. Don't understand the Stone Stacker attack. Yeah, I mean, if he wants to play a Twin Disciplines to take down our Chump Wump, I think this is okay. All right. Not sure what opponent's game plan is here, but it feels like it's good for us. Okay. Switch to the old elusives. And the peddler. I'm going to go for the Stinky Wump here. It seems like it's going to be tough for him to compete with this, right? He's either going to throw down a cheap unit that probably just trades with whatever we have, or he's going to play like a 5-drop, and we can just completely attack into it with our Piltover Peacemaker here. This is fine. But this is likely the last turn where we'll have these consistently good attacks. Maybe not. He hasn't been dropping like Yordle Captains or anything on us. Okay. Happy with this trade. Let's go the Conspirator. The only way I see this kind of like going south and sour is if he's able to assemble a bunch of elusives. So kind of done with what's happening on board here, and let's just make sure we don't die to those. Like between picking up the Peddler just now, we should be able to just punch in bunches of damage and with the Puffcaps. That was a little meh. We did all that work dropping the traps in there, and then we just don't get them.
The same calling card from our other case.
We'll see. Probably just going to attack with the Storm Cloud, but I'm happy to have Aftershocks here in case he doesn't. Okay, cool. Cool beans, bruh. Can't wait till cool beans is a good saying again. Can't wait.
Hot on the trail.
Totally tubular, dog. Whoa, that seems like a decision.
As fate wills.
The homecoming onto the solitary monk. Okay. I see. I see. I see. All right, let's just drop the peddler now. We're getting to this space to where, I mean, I don't think he's going to kill us with elusives, but I think we need to be ready to switch to a spell-based plan on his turn. Yasuo could be scary. There's no AoE stuns that he could have on us here, though. I mean, he's only got one card in hand that we don't know about. I think this will be fine. We'll add Caitlyn.
What have we here?
You can go big on Yasuo. We'll just don't even really need to block. Yeah, we could have passed. I don't want to risk it though. It feels like this might be a less experienced opponent, and so I don't think they're going to read into this too much. And but we'll still play it safe and just burst past some of these mushroom clouds. We don't really want any of this, but I guess the Chump Wump would be the okayest of the options. Give us that last little bit of burst for the final turn of the game. 29 Puffcaps. Feels like it should be about 1 million. It feels it's been so light in the Puffcaps.
No more running.
Cool. We're kind of done with Caitlyn anyways. We're mainly interested in using the Peddler. Take him to 3. Alright. See if we can't get him with the Aftershock here. It's only got the one card we haven't seen. It's probably not Deny, but you know, we'll give him a chance to spend some mana. Okay. Boom him. Man, am I getting you all set up for the full value run? Is this going to be a 13 game expedition? We're going into pre-final battle now, right? We should probably just throw. Pre-final battle. Okay. I don't like trading away the Sump Fumes, but we definitely need these Puffcap Peddlers. Need to find that third one real bad. Okay, yeah. Why not just concede? We'll probably play against like Shyvana or something here, anyways, and just get annihilated. Then we'll get into the second half of the pre-final battle. Probably win in some kind of ridiculous fashion that we don't deserve, and then make our way to the final battle, the summit of prismatic skinned Caitlyn run here. I was glad to see how that worked out. Like. In terms of prismatics and skins, I wasn't sure how they were going to handle it, right? As we came out here and just like prismatic tons and tons of cards, and then they started releasing skins afterwards. And I was glad to see that those kind of interact positively together. They still have it kind of set up to where they may add, you know, some other kind of fancy looking border. Right, there's kind of like the options out there to choose between prismatics and not. I don't know how I feel about it if they do. I won't feel like I'm missing out on something, but it does kind of feel like we're losing a bit off of these. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was just like prismatics and then skins, and that was the end of it. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to put like rainbow hologram borders on our onto our clump of lumps. I don't think that's really going to be a thing. But all right, so we're up against Braum Trundle with Bandle City. Seeing the Poro come down, I assume that we're just going to be against the Poro's deck. We'll make the block here. If he has the Poro snacks, then we definitely want to get this unit off the board while we can. Fury of the North, absolutely. That's great. So I think we can drop the Peddlers. It's a little scary. We may not be able to throw these into combat, but I think we can probably definitely throw Chump Wumps into combat here. But let's see. It's kind of odd with these Poro decks and how they sequence, and so we may be able to get an attack with the Peddler. Nope. All right. We'll wait on Braum here. We might find ourselves being able to aftershock him down.
Let's show our friends the door. Have you met my shield? We should be friends.
Okay. So let's see. What are we going to do here? Do we really want to go for this aftershock? Kind of. We don't really need to do it this turn, though. We can do it next turn and still be kind of okay with it.
Hear me tale? Start the day.
At least we have good-looking attacks here. Ooh, take heart. Very, very glad we didn't go for that aftershock plan. All right, man. This is bad. We're in a spot to where we just can't attack anymore. There's no reason to time trick here. I want to time trick into a Puffcap Peddler. Ooh. I didn't realize we were going to overdraw. Thought about stopping and counting, just chose not to. So I'm at least glad we didn't get hard punished for that.
They grow up so fast.
I think we have something on that case.
Right, so we have a bit of time before we have to spew off all of these mushrooms. Again, I would like to find another Peddler before we have to, but I think it's about to just happen. This is fairly bad as well, since he's able to Braum hook the Peddler and we can't stop him. We can play time trick and see if maybe we hit a homecoming. It's probably worth doing. We can still play the 5 Puffcaps even if we don't find it. Where you at, Time Trick? Windfire Hatchling, okay. You might be able to do some damages. So yeah, really prefer to have 2 Peddlers before we make plays like this, but we just got to do it while we can. Don't think we're going to have enough time to do all this, but got him up to 49 Puffcaps. That feels like a lot, right? That seems like a big number. Battle Fury. Damn. Alright, dude. I feel you. It's not good for us, but I like what you're about. Battle Fury. That's good stuff. We didn't get to we didn't get to hit it with the coup de grace. We'll have that for next turn, but yeah. So, oh shit! That guy's oh fuck me. That was stupid. I thought this was Spell Shield. Like the comment I was about to make was like, "Oh boy, I'm glad he hit the Spell Shield on the Fabled and not the Mighty, so we can still coup de grace." And it was totally the elusive one. They've at least made these like a little bit easier to see, but it's a little upsetting. But we don't die to an open here. We might be able to pull this one off.
Let's show our friends the door. Show me your best.
Might be able to do it. Alright. Puffcaps, do your thing. Sure. Four. Okay. What up, kitty?
Look how we have grown.
Alright, so what's the best we can do here? Caitlyn? Caitlyn's got to be flipped. Okay. It's just we have so much potential to get kills with Caitlyn next turn. I think we have to draw her. right? If she has the means to go face without winning a combat. That's kind of lame. Did he not notice that Caitlyn was both skinned and prismatic? Dude, I thought you were cool, you know, playing Battle Furies. I like that. Not anymore though. That's kind of fucked up. Get that nonsense out of here. Would have just been for one, and we spiked the mighty. Okay. All right. Well, we need to play Aftershock now. We don't have a choice in the matter. Do we? Do we die to overwhelms? Like if he has a full board, we can maybe do this. How's it gonna go? He's gonna hook the Chump Wump with Braum. Oh, we'll take the 4 from the Fabled. We don't have a choice. Okay. Aftershock coming in. Drop the 2 Mushroom Clouds. And then we gotta hit for 4. Maybe we'll get the cool play and draw coup de grace and and be able to take him down like that. But this game, it should be like a little bit closer. We shouldn't have attacked with that Windfarer Hatchling. It would have served much better as a blocker. But just one? All right, coup de grace. Fuck. All right, fine. Damn. I don't know why they can't make like. I don't know. They made them like shades of pink and purple. They need to make one of them like green, and then make the other one not green. Right? It's just like pink and purple are too similar in color for me. All right, we got the kitty out here helping now, though. It's a different one from the previous video. It's this one here. See, there we go. Say what up, kitty. Oh, you're so famous. You're so famous. We're gonna get our name on the internet for the for the Reddit contest, and then everybody will be like, "Oh shit, it's a cat." All right, let's see what we can do here. We actually got the trap draw here. It's Elise Maokai. Incoming Vile Feast. All right. Little tempting to go ahead and try and pop the Spiderling, but I don't think that's where we're gonna be. Okay.
Hot on the trail.
Then they pass. Weird. Okay.
Scoping the area.
I do like the idea of coming in here and just like banking a bit of mana and maybe getting to use the likes of the Archivist. If his like idea here is to just not do anything and Black Spear Caitlyn, like that feels like a win. Brawling Sensation, sure. And a Brood Awakening. Okay. Oof. Then he needs to open. Probably. Oh, ooh, the Skitterer is kind of meh. All right, let's prevent as much as we can. It's like I don't really want to lose Caitlyn here because we have, like, these traps should be so good against this board, but I don't think we have a choice. Come in and block some stuff, shoot the big one. Maybe things will work out. Okay. Do we wanna throw down the mushrooms? I don't think so. We're not gonna bamboozle him that easy. Oh man, how sick would this have been if he drew those 2 cards and then hit a trap and the trap hit like the Caitlyn Spider? That would have been so sick. Oh man.
Have 3.
Alright. No cool plays for us, I guess. Only one choice? Interesting. There's only one spell in the next 5 cards. We're going to be drawing a bunch of units. We can shuffle our deck with a time trick, but... oh boy. let's see what we can do. I don't want any of these. Like we're gonna like we want to be playing the thermogenic beam, and so I'd rather just go ahead and not lose out on that additional 2 mana. Okay. We've hit 1. The crawling sensation. Okay, nothing we can do about that. So we're gonna take a little bit of damage, but we're gonna be like super ahead on board from now on.
Would a mushroom help? I'm a peddler, not a meddler.
There we go. Let's peacemaker the big one instead of blocking the big one. Oh my gosh. Oh, work one time. Where are them traps falling? I guess this isn't the board that matters as much, but it is nice to see them come out here and try and draw all these cards as we're as we're throwing down. All right. So I mean, oh, a Scuttlegeist. Damn. I was gonna say I'm looking to just open now, but this unit's too big to go for that kind of plan.
They've barricaded the door. Doesn't matter.
Okay. So we're just dropping Puffcaps and stalling and hoping we don't die to this Phantom Prankster. We can pop it with the Aftershock, but no, that's probably what we're going to have to do if we're going to be real. I don't think we can deal 19 of Puffcap damage before he can kill off 8 units. Okay. Here they come. Butt cheeks ready. What we got in here? 32. It's not very many. About a damage and a half a turn. We do have the draw 3 for them, but it's going to be a few turns before we can unlock that. You want this to kind of be like the final blow if you can. I mean, we might have to just play it on ourselves as we're running out of cards here. Ooh. Nice. So we can block everything now. Rasa, are you kidding me? What a fucking bad time. Oh, I was so hype about our trap and it just activated Rasa. That's fucking insane. So are we dead here? What can we do? We can... The Stinky Wump will prevent more damage. Such sadness. Fucking Rasa. Ugh. Are we dead? Oh, did I block that wrong? Fuck. Alright. Well, that was my bad. That was my bad. I deprived you of the full run. I definitely meant to block the Scuttlegeist there. By no means was that going to be a guaranteed win, but it didn't fall exactly how we needed it to. But nonetheless, it should give you a decent primer on playing the old Caitlyn decks. This was not a super successful one. I drafted this earlier in the week and didn't make a video on it or anything, but it wasn't that successful either. But again, like the big things to remember, I think there's 3, right? You want to decide if you're going to be a Puffcaps deck or if you're going to be a Traps deck. I should say like a Flashbang Trap deck. Because it's very tough to pull off both, right? Just in terms of like how you're going to come out and win the game. Whether it's with like the Sting Officer plan or the Puffcap plan. And here we were on Puffcaps. We only got the 1 Sting Officer. It was surprisingly here at pick 1, but that's going to be like a big decision for you to make because that lies into getting the Puffcap cards to show up, right? Both I could pull it up on the spreadsheet, I guess, but both like the cohesiveness rating on the Teemo archetypes is listed as high, or very high maybe. And so the idea with the cohesiveness rating, if you aren't familiar, is say like the card Mushroom Cloud, right? If you're playing Puffcaps, then sure you can have the card Mushroom Cloud in your deck, but if you're drafting Ezreal, you probably don't want the physical card Mushroom Cloud in your deck, and it's kind of a feels bad moment if that shows up in your draft. And so they have the cohesiveness rating in there to where if your deck doesn't have a bunch of like the Puffcap centric cards in it, then those cards show up less as the draft progresses. And so the thing you have to worry about in terms of this, like when we start off here with the Sting Officer, it's going to weaken our chances of seeing the Puffcap cards, and as the chances fall down, you have to really kind of accept where your deck is going to go. Because if you start off into the Sting Officer plan, you're not going to see the Puffcap cards. And so really worth noting in those terms. And I think we got hit by that a bit throughout this draft. I'm curious how the cards would have looked throughout the draft if we had been able to take a Puffcap card at pick 3 as opposed to the Sting Officer pack. I know it was a Ionia Total Recall pack, and it was Ionia most of the way. I can't remember at what point in the draft it decided to start showing us P and Z in the Total Recall packs, but it feels like it was super late. If not even in the draft, it may have not been until the trade picks. But I think we saw like one or two trade picks in there, or one or two draft picks in there that were Ionia, P and Z, Total Recall. But this is thing number one, though, right? If you want to be in Puffcaps, you got to get in early. If you're not drafting Puffcaps, Caitlyn needs you to be all in on Sting Officer. This is the only real trap generator in the game. The thing we tried to trade away so much, Advanced Intel, is garbage. And then things like Justice Rider are epic, and so you're not really going to find them. You got to kind of wait on the future for more of these Puffcap cards to come out. But that's idea number one. Decide super early if you're chasing after Puffcaps or if you're chasing after Flashbang Traps. Thing number two is you want your deck to be really aggressive. This wasn't quite as aggressive as I would have liked it. But either way, with the deck archetypes, you're going to end up in Puffcaps. With that, you need to get your opponent down to like 8 or 10 or 12 and then finish off with Puffcap Peddlers. The best way to do that is with a lot of aggression. And then if you're going for the Sting Officer plan, then the idea was, it doesn't matter if you hit your opponent's 3/3 with a Flashbang Trap. You need to be hitting their 1 health units. And then if you kind of think of how the game will sequence to where your small units are getting blocked by their big ones, and then you're cleaning up with the traps, that leads to having a very aggressive deck. And so kind of step 3 to that, and where I think we kind of failed, is the card draw / keeping your deck cheap aspects of this. And so ideally, we would have a bunch of veteran investigators and Hextech foundries, just ways to force our opponents to draw cards. And most of the card draw is dual synergistic. I don't know. It affects both players. And so if we're drawing a bunch of cards, right, then we would prefer to be able to play all of our mana every turn. And so you don't want to end up in this space to where you have a handful of coup de grace and officer squads and chief mechanist Zevis, and you're drawing a bunch of cards, but you can't play any of those cards because your mana is super awkward. And so that is kind of thing number 3, ties back into playing with the really cheap deck and taking advantage of the synergies all throughout the archetypes here. And so really aggressive, really cheap, lots of card draw is what we're trying to do with these. And I feel like we kind of failed in there. We kept our curve kind of low. We did okay with that. We kept the 3 or less thing kind of running. We didn't pick up enough early drops, and we didn't pick up any card draw. And so that's where I kind of feel bad about this. Maybe we should have put a little more effort into picking up an additional coup de grace or something, or an additional aloof travelers. It's just I don't like these expensive card draws. I like the veteran investigator, which is tough to pick up if you aren't into the Teemo archetypes. But nonetheless, I had fun. I feel like sending Caitlyn Premium was worth it. Not a bad deal, and I had a good time with this one, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day. And so, before we go, I will mention again the thing on Reddit, the Esri Awards. If you like the material we're putting together here, I would greatly appreciate it if you could send us a vote. You could head over to the Legends of Runeterra subreddit or the LOR competitive subreddit. Should be pinned to the top of the subreddit, and you can vote for old FTP Bust as the small-time content creator of 2021 or 2022, however that plays itself out. But any of that recognition that ever appears on Reddit always gives our channel a huge boost, and I would love to continue to have those boosts. And so if you have a few minutes, I would very much appreciate it. I think you have until the 22nd of January to go and cast your vote. But yeah, that's going to do it for us today. I'm not sure if there's any rewards. We got something lit up here. Oh, the weekly vault. Turns out we do have a reward. And so let's go ahead and click through these real quick. Lots of bonus capsules and everything going on here. Let's see what turns up. And so yeah, I'm curious. I was surprised to see the awards thing kind of turn up, but it wasn't like Riot sponsored, but it seems like they're behind it, and so it's always nice. Like whenever I see the channel pop up in a Reddit thread, we always see a big kind of boost in viewership, and those boosts, kind of do two things. It's like there's not too many people out there putting out a lot of expedition content. It's mostly people playing the constructed formats, and so it's always nice to bring a bit of attention to this format that we like to play, and then also helps me in paying the hosting fees and everything on keeping the ftpbus.com site up and everything, and so always appreciate it. Those boosts are great. It's like so weird. I was like, I caught a like few thousand views on the site one day, and it was like I had no idea why. And so it was like I was starting to dig around on the internet to see where it was, and it was just like a comment on like some Twitter guy I'd never even heard of, and it was just like that was all it took to just like bomb up the ratings for the day. And so it doesn't seem like much to go and toss in a vote like that, but it's those little things like that that really help the channel grow, and I do appreciate it when those things happen. But didn't talk about the rewards. We certainly pulled them in. I hope you saw what you wanted to see out of those, and that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone out there enjoyed the trial. You learned how to both prismatic and skin your champions. You learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.